IIFYM, or If It Fits Your Macros, has become extremely popular among fitness influencers, but is that a good thing or a bad thing? Let's start out by defining what If It Fits Your Macros is. But don't forget to stay until the end of the video, because by that point I'll have shared everything you need to know, and also at the very end I'm going to tell you what I recommend you do. So If It Fits Your Macros is basically, first of all, a macro is just macronutrients, and macronutrients, think of it as just your food. So basically you have your proteins, fats and carbohydrates. The idea of If It Fits Your Macros is that you have to work out specifically for your individual body how many grams of fats, proteins and carbohydrates that you need to eat per day, and then all you need to do is basically eat foods to hit those numbers each day. So for example, if you had to hit 100 grams of protein in a day, you have to make sure that you're looking at the back of the labels on the food and making sure you hit 100 grams of protein per day. And this is why this is extremely popular, is because whatever you basically eat, it doesn't matter.
I asked you what you're doing. You said you're sauteing tomatoes. Oh, you funk! You dirty pig! Get out!
As long as you hit those 3 macronutrients, it doesn't matter how you do it. So you could get 60 grams of fat from pizza or 60 grams of fat from coconut oil and avocados, and it's 2 separate things. But with this style of eating, it doesn't matter. You can get your fat from anywhere. I'm definitely not saying that it doesn't work, because thousands of people use this method and it works for them. So to say it doesn't work is not accurate. It absolutely can work, but I do want you to know that it is a marketing term. It really was created just so people can make money. But at least, like we said, it does work. And the reason it's a marketing term is because if you tell people you can eat whatever you want and still get the physique you want, of course everybody's going to want to know what that thing is. But of course that's going to come with a cost, and we'll get into that a little later. If you're currently doing IIFYM and it's working for you, then I recommend that you stick to what you're currently doing. If you find it something that you can stick to and something that's working for you, then I would never recommend that you come off of that because it's working. But what I would recommend you do, and it doesn't mean that everybody that follows If It Fits Your Macros is doing this one thing wrong, but what tends to happen is people that follow this style of diet eat a lot of junk food. So they might make it easier for themselves because they're marketed that, oh, you can eat whatever you want. But the problem is you're not factoring in your long-term health. There's no point in getting in great shape and eating pizza and horrible food all the time, which you absolutely can get in shape by eating junk food with this protocol. But there's absolutely no point to eating shit food and then getting in really good shape. It doesn't make sense. You're going to die young. You're going to feel crap all the time. It doesn't make sense. And like I said, it doesn't mean that people that use this protocol always eat junk food, but on average, the people that do use this tend to eat a lot of junk food. And that's why I recommend, if you are currently using this and it's working for you, to look at your diet, just write everything you eat down and log it for a week. Write it in a book, have a look what you're eating, and then at the end of the week, look at that and think, is that really healthy? Are most of those foods, at least 90% of those foods, actually good for me? And if the answer is no, then you need to start changing some things out and adding some things in and actually make it a healthy plan. If this video has helped you so far, if you could just press the like button, that lets me know that I'm doing a good job. So here's what I think that you should do, and this is what I personally do. Now, I do intermittent fasting. That's something you can look into. I have videos on that. But the best way, in my opinion, to set your nutrition up is to just count your calories. So count your calories and your protein. Of course, you need to eat enough protein to build muscle, but by just counting calories is all that's necessary, because the calories are what is going to help you lose more body fat. If It Fits Your Macros definitely works, but I feel like just counting calories is a little more accurate, and I also think that it's less time consuming. Instead of having to work out exactly how many fats and carbs and proteins, all you're doing is counting your calories and then just tracking your protein just to make sure that you're eating enough. If you're a beginner, then just keeping an eye on your fat is very important as well. I wouldn't say you need to track it, but just keeping your eye on it to make sure that you're eating enough fat, because you don't want to be eating a low-fat diet. But then when it comes to the carbohydrates, you just fill the rest in with carbohydrates. It doesn't matter how many grams you're eating of carbs each day. So I just recommend doing it that way. I think that's a lot easier. And then also, when you're starting to eat the same foods more often, it's very easy to know that this certain meal that you cook has 550 calories in it. Whereas when you're cooking loads of different meals and you're trying to figure out, well, how many proteins in that and fats and carbs, and you can't remember and you forget, it just takes more time for no extra benefit. So basically, what I would say is you need to focus a lot more on the healthy foods. And like I said, it doesn't mean that just because you do if it fits your macros that you're eating more junk food, but it certainly means there's a higher chance you'll eat more junk food. What I recommend is that 90% of your food comes from nutrient-dense foods, which I have a video on, and then the rest of the calories come from junk food. So just 10% of your calories come from junk food. That way it makes your nutrition more sustainable. The bottom line is that you need to focus on your health, and these strategies don't help you necessarily with your health. It helps you get in shape, but unless you're being strategic, then you're not going to be healthy. Another thing is that if it fits your macros isn't really very good for performance. How many athletes do you know that actually use that style of eating? And the answer is none, because no one ever sets a world record by using that. You have to be a lot more strategic when it comes to your health.